It's been a while since I've done a Q&A, right? So I reached out to you guys on Twitter and also on Instagram so you guys can ask me questions. Now this episode of Ask Me is being sponsored by Wix. If you guys are looking to build a website but you have no idea what you're doing, you've never coded in your life, check out the link in the description down below. Wix makes it so easy to get started. You can build an e-commerce website, you can build a website for your business, your YouTube page. It doesn't really matter. They are awesome. I will leave a link down below. So let's go ahead and begin. Our very first question is from Twitter and it's from Sam Beckman. What's your favorite part of the editing process? Assembling, audio, color grading, VFX, etc. I love the whole entire process from start to finish. In fact, editing is probably something that I enjoy more, almost more than shooting itself. I mean, I love shooting video, but editing is where you see everything come together. But if I had to pick one thing, I will say it's probably the coloring process. Seeing all the colors and what you had in your mind, like your vision, come to life, that is probably the most rewarding part. This next question comes from Instagram, and this is from Redfield_RU. If you could improve only one thing in your C200, what would it be? For me, I love this camera. It's nearly perfect. If there's one thing that I can add to it or improve on it, it's the ability to shoot 10-bit at least 422. I'm not even asking for 444, but 422 internally or even externally. That would be awesome too. If there's a way that I can get 10-bit from this camera, whether internal or external, that would be the only thing that I would want. And I would almost say this camera's perfect for me. This next question is from Twitter, and this is from Monas Khan. Advice for me. I have a year of experience in photography and videography, but never did any paid work. How do I get started? By the way, I am a college student. This is actually a very good question. And it doesn't matter if you're in college or if you're still in high school, you want to get paid for your work, you have to start somewhere. Look around your local businesses. You will be surprised how many businesses need video work and photography work. Take, for example, car dealerships. There's always used cars coming in that they need to promote to sell them. That requires photography so they can put it on their website or social media. And in some cases, also video work. Same thing with restaurants. Restaurants always need new pictures of their menu, or even real estate agents. There's a lot of houses being sold every single day. If you can go out there and take pictures of that, if you can, take video, that's a really great way. So again, look around your local businesses and I would communicate with them and say, hey, for example, my name is Armando and I do a lot of video and photography work. Please allow me to show you what I'm capable of doing. If you don't like what my pictures look like or video, you don't have to pay me. You can start off like that. Or if you don't want to charge initially, which is actually what I did first, I wasn't charging because what I wanted to do was I kind of wanted to prove myself. I wanted to build my portfolio. So in the beginning, I didn't care about charging. I wanted the portfolio work so I can put it on my website, which leads me to my other thing. And I'm not just saying this because Wix is sponsoring this, but get yourself a website. That is very important. Now, if you do decide to use Wix because they're awesome, check them out because they make it so easy. Again, I am not just saying this because they're sponsoring this video, but I literally built a website from scratch, from the ground up in less than an hour. And I have proof because I actually did a video and I will leave a link down below. So don't procrastinate, build yourself a website because that's gonna prove to other people that you're capable. It's gonna show your work. It's gonna show all of your video stuff, all of your photography. Don't use Instagram, don't use Facebook because a lot of these platforms end up shifting throughout the years. And then what's gonna end up happening is, let's say something happens to Instagram or Facebook, you can possibly lose that information. So again, build yourself a website. It's so much easier. And then that way you can show these companies. And once you have a really nice portfolio, whether you want to start charging from the get-go or not, now you can show people like, look what I did for this Nissan dealership. Look what I did for this Mercedes dealership. These are my rates and I would love to work with you. So that is what I would recommend if you want to start getting paid for your work. This next question is from Twitter and it's from Sud Harson. If you had a choice for a Canon 1DX Mark II or Sony a7 III, which one would you go to for the type of work you do plus travel? I would say the Sony a7 III mainly because it has more video features, or it focuses more on video compared to the 1DX Mark II. Also, it's smaller. It has in-body image stabilization, which is great for, when you're running and gunning. And also, one of the things is I've gotten to the point where I've matched the Sony a7 III to my Canon C200. Like I have built a LUT, which will actually go on sale very soon, probably in 2 weeks from posting this video, which will literally match the color of my C200 to a T. So I've kind of mastered that, and I really, really love the Sony a7 III, which leads me to believe that when the Sony a7S III comes out, which I'm sure will be more video centric, is just gonna be an awesome camera. But yeah, I would go with the Sony a7 III because of the form factor. But by the time you're watching this, Canon will probably release their latest full frame mirrorless camera, which is, so far as of filming this, looks awesome. So maybe I'll just be using that instead. This next question comes from Instagram, and it's from Yasar1290, current daily drivers. On the Apple side, it's the iPhone 10, and on the Android side, it's the Red OnePlus 6. I really, really like this phone. This next question comes from Twitter, and it's from Heider. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. What's the most expensive and cheapest piece of tech you use? The most expensive piece of tech that I use is my car, and the most cheapest piece of tech that I use is my Amazon Echo. I think I paid 25 bucks, but yeah, that's probably the most cheapest piece of tech that I use. This question is from Twitter, and it's from Philip Nichols. What's your opinion about mixing frame rates, 60 FPS and 24 frames per second specifically? Now, if you don't have to, I don't recommend you mix frame rates unless you're doing slow motion. I think when you're doing slow motion, that's fine. If you have a 24 frames per second timeline, and let's say you're doing something with like 60 or 120, that's okay. But if you're doing something where it's all 24 frames per second and that's the output, I don't generally like to mix footage unless like somebody made a mistake and left their camera on 60p, then you kind of have to roll with it. But unless you're doing slow motion, that's okay. But other than that, I don't recommend it. This next question comes from Instagram, and it's from RickPostNL. Do you think it's worth it to buy a Canon C100 in 2018? And I'm gonna say yes. I definitely think it's worth it depending on what you do. One of the reasons I love the C100 and obviously the C200 is the fact that everything is compact and built into it. You have XLR inputs that are built into the camera. You have built-in ND filters. You have obviously Canon's dual pixel autofocus and obviously Canon colors. It's such a great camera. The only drawback that the C100 has, if you even want to call it a drawback, is that it doesn't shoot in 4K. However, it's still a 4K sensor that's being downsampled to 1080p. So essentially you're still getting 4K quality. Like everything is there, but it's going to be downscaled to 1080p, so it's still gonna look really great. Now, does that really matter to you? That's where it's gonna depend on where you're going to deliver your content, whether it's YouTube, whether it's, you know, professional work. But trust me, even the C100 upscaled to 4K, which there's a YouTube channel, I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, they're called Hardware Connects. One of the guys there, Eber, actually still shoots with a C100, and he upscales everything to 4K, and I promise you that sometimes you can't even tell. I would say 99% of the time, you can't even tell that that's shot with the C100 because it looks so good. You would think that it's definitely a 4K camera. So yeah, if you're gonna be shooting and you require everything, I would say C100 is still an awesome camera to get. This next question comes from Instagram, and it's from Leo.Avrion. What was the most reliable phone you've had? Rest in peace, my Google Pixel 2 XL, because it's broken, but yeah, this is the most reliable phone I've ever used. In fact, I'm actually excited for the Google Pixel 3 XL. That's gonna be awesome because that's most likely gonna be my new daily driver on the Android side. So if for whatever reason I didn't answer your question, leave me a comment down below because I will be looking through the comment section and answering the questions that I didn't answer for the most part. So thanks for watching, guys. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook at Mondo Bytes if you guys want to see behind the scenes. Thanks again for watching, and you will catch me in the next one. Adios.